Okay, so instead of starting in the HP Reveal software, I'm going to start in Photoshop because one of the things you can do with this is an animated GIF, and I want to go over a little detail that we didn't talk about much in the previous animated collage, and the fact that an animated GIF can have transparency when it's animated. All right, and that'll become very important when we get into the other process. So when you're creating an animated GIF, if you make sure the background throughout the GIF has the transparent checkerboard, that's going to allow us to overlay this over something else and not have to see the border, the rectangular border of a basic JPEG file. Okay, so if you want something to show up, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. So I made this little beating heart GIF out of somebody's image, and I'm going to go up to Export, Save for Web Legacy. I'm going to make sure that transparency is checked. We have to have that transparency checked. Now, this is way too big, okay? Remember, we're going to be downloading these and looking at these on your phones, all right? So we may be on the data plan. We have to get small. Remember, your phone screens are small too, so you don't have to have a huge, big thing. So we want to get this thing down in the kilobytes range, not the megabytes range, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that, actually, I can drop this down to like 4 colors, okay? That already cuts it way down in size. 8 might be better. You can see at the outside we're getting a little bit of banding out there. I could take care of that in Photoshop and get rid of that. But we gotta get the size way down. Okay, so I'm gonna go down to say, let's try 15%. 60K is much better. Yeah, let's go with that. So I'm going to hit Save, Beating Heart GIF, and put that on the desktop. All right, let's hide Photoshop. Now, this is the HP Reveal. So remember, I went to studio.hpreveal.com, and then I found the login. I logged in with the Timid Mule and our password, same password you use in the app. So before I get started here, I'm going to create a little collection of stuff. All right, so I have my beating heart GIF there. Let's make a little new folder. We're going to call this AR Assets. I'm going to rename this. Okay, remember the naming scheme is important for this stuff. You can't keep track of it otherwise. I'm going to call this, 2018 Fall Davis Hart. Okay. Let's grab a couple other things here. We can put a we'll use this video here. We're going to use some images as well. Oh, that's a nice one. Let's do that one. And let's find a trigger image that works well. This is the kind of stuff you shouldn't do when you're making a video. Just look for stuff on your computer. You should have that stuff ready. Remember the size. The size stuff is important. 354 kilobytes is good. Okay, so this is our stuff. I'm going to use 2018 Davis trigger. Davis video. 18 Davis pattern. Okay, so I got my stuff in the AR assets folder. Now I'm going to go back to this. So this is the workspace here. So we have a couple of things available. Now, the software we're dealing with calls these AR experiences auras. If you think about what an aura is, it's that invisible halo of light that surrounds everybody, right? It's this kind of thing that's there. Only select people can see it. Okay, so that's the idea of the augment. It's an augment. Okay, so they're called auras. So here we have my aura. So these are the projects. All right. We have 105 on there. It was 270. I culled it this morning. So feel free to take your app when you're working and kind of go through these and look at them. They might not all work, but you're going to see a lot of variety of things in here. So if you highlight one like this, click the little thing and hit full screen, then you can hold your phone up to this one. As long as you're logged in, you can see what it does. So you can read it right off the screen. Okay, and you'll still have to look at it through your phone. Anytime you want to look and see what's happening in them, you can double click and load them up, and it's going to show you. This worksheet here. Okay. And feel free to click through. Now, don't change anything on these because these are ones that are already on there working. But you can kind of look through. This is the trigger image. We click Next. These are all the overlays. And this is how it's laid out in the software. And I'm going to go over this process in just a second. But you can kind of see what that process is. Okay. Okay, so we have this section. This section, the My Aura section, is all the projects. In the Assets section, these are all the things that go into creating them. Okay, so these are the parts. The auras are where the parts are put together. Campaigns is not anything you need to be worried about. Okay, that has to do with kind of if you're a business and you're trying to do this as an advertising thing. And Discover just lets you look at other people's stuff. We're not really concerned with that either. So what we want to do is we want to go over here to create new aura. Okay, and click plus. So we're going to work our way through this worksheet here. So there's two ways you can start. You can either select a existing trigger image. We don't want to do that because those are the ones that are already uploaded. We want to upload a new one. Okay. So we're going to click to upload a trigger image. Now, that name, you named your file, you need to type that name in here. Well, actually, let's say it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click from File. Oh, excuse me, not that. I'm going to click the Browse button. I'm going to go to AR Assets folder. I'm going to find the one I labeled Trigger Image. Hit Open. Now, you got to make sure that this populates the name column, okay? You want that to be the same naming convention, all right? And I'm going to hit Save. Now, it's going to upload that. Now, you see right here, it says Pending. What the computer's doing right now is it's mapping this image, okay? The computer's looking for, areas of contrast, areas of things that are unique to this image. Okay, so it's creating a visual map of it. So this image should be the image of your painting, okay, that you shot. Now, before you upload that, a good thing to do is to take that image in Photoshop, crop out the wall or the frame around that image, make it nice and square by warping it back to shape, and make sure there's no glare or anything on it. If it works, it'll say complete underneath. If there's a problem with it, then it will tell you. Okay, that means it's not much detail. There are some things you can do to fix that, and I can show you that on a case-by-case basis. That you would use with the masking tools over here, but I don't need to do anything. The computer thinks this is sufficiently complex for what I'm going to do. Okay, so my trigger is uploaded. It is ready to go. I'm going to click next. So this is where the real kind of the meat of the action happens here. So we can select existing overlays or upload them. Let's upload some overlays. Now notice in the overlay column we have this little drop down menu. So we have image, audio, video, 3D model, and web page. Audio is a new one I haven't actually played with yet. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's put it on image for now. Notice it says max size 100 megabytes. You do not want to get anywhere near that. It'll take forever to look at on your phone. All right, you want to keep these things small and light. So I'm going to hit the browse button. I'm going to upload the pattern. Hit OK. I'm going to save. You notice it shows up right here. Let's upload a couple other overlays just to get something happening here. That one says video. I'm going to find the video now. Notice the video is the only one highlighted. That is in .mp4 format. Let's open that. Save. That'll take a little bit more time. It's a little bit bigger file. Not too big. Notice it's even playing. Now I'm going to upload the GIF. Now, for the animated GIF, you need to choose image. Browse heart GIF. Okay. So notice I have an image of my trigger here, and I have my my overlays kind of selected. Now we can see everything in here right now. So if I were to stop right now and test this, this is what would happen. We hold the camera up to the image, to the trigger image, and then these three overlays would appear, and they would be situated physically just like this on the background. All right, so there's a direct relationship to what we're seeing there. So let's zoom out a little bit. So here we can see that this is the relationship. Now, one of the cool things you can do with this program is that you can have things appear outside of your image. As long as your phone can see the trigger image and you're close enough to recognize it, you can have something appear next to your painting. So you could take a painting and extend it into space, make it wider, make it taller, show something that's under the water if you have a seafaring picture. Okay, so you can extend outside the borders as well, simply by moving that around. I can grab these things and make them bigger and change their orientation too, like that. Okay, I can go like this, like that. Okay, so I can arrange these things how I want them oriented in space. I can also change how they appear, you know, what order they appear, what it takes to make the next one appear. That's where we're going to get into some really light programming. All right, so we look over here. This is our each overlay, and we have some options underneath. You notice the one that's checked by default. That's fade in. That means this overlay automatically fades in as soon as we start the experience. Let's go. As soon as we start the aura, these will automatically fade in. So if I don't want them to come in automatically, I want to uncheck that, like that. Now notice it's still visible over here. All right, this because we need to know where they are in space. Okay, so you'll have to test this to make sure things working. So I'm going to have the heart fade in right on top of the figures initially. Okay. So the heart comes in. These guys are hidden. They're not up. Let's take a look. So now we want to tell it what to happen. We need to add some actions to that. So I'm going to click on that button, and this worksheet comes up. Okay. So we have these options. When overlay is tapped, when overlay is double tapped, after it's faded in, after it's started, after it's finished, and after a time delay. So these are the things that we can then script to do it. So let's start with a tap. Okay. So this is pertaining to the heart overlay. So we actually have to touch the heart on the screen. Okay, so I touch it. What do I want to happen? Okay. Well, here's what can happen. I can start, stop, pause, and overlay. I can load a web page. We probably won't be doing any of that. I can make things jump to being full screen, so it's the only thing you can see. I can take something off full screen, or I can perform a random action. So what I want to do is bring up the pattern. So I'm going to say start an overlay. Now I have to tell it which overlay to start. I'm going to select the pattern. And that will bring up the pattern. So let's go for that. So now I have this one. When it's tapped, it starts this one. Or no, excuse me, starts this one. All right, so let's add some actions to this one. So you're going to add an action. Let's do this one, a time delay in seconds. After, after, let's say, 4 seconds, we will stop an overlay. Let's stop the heart overlay. And then start the movie. So you can add multiple actions to one thing. Let's do an action to this one. Let's say after overlay has, well, yeah, let's make it full screen. Tell it to make the video full screen. Okay. And let's save. All right. Now, as you're doing this, make sure you're saving. It'll tell you when it's been saved successfully. And at any time, you can hit the preview button. And I'm going to do this. Let's do this on the iPad. Maybe you'll be able to see it. You can preview it by holding your phone or your tablet. Sometimes it takes a minute. Also, here's a little tip for you. If you're having a problem getting to see it and you've been running the app on your phone for a while, quit the app. Force quit the app by getting, force quit the app, reopen it. Sometimes that clears the cache out and re-downloads the experience. So it can take a few minutes occasionally to get that to play through. So let's see if it works. We went through a little fast. All right, let's change that. That didn't. I went through a little too fast for some reason. There's a lot of. I'm going to take off the. Let's see. Yes. Yes. Okay. When overlay is tapped, bring up the pattern, add the action of that, after time delay, (4 seconds), start the video. Let's try that. We're going to save that, preview it. Let's see if that fixes it. I'm going to force quit the app. Restart it. Being a little flaky at the moment. But this does give you a good idea that you can see video here, the pattern there, beating heart there. Okay. think what I need to do, yeah, I missed a step. If you look in here, it says fade in. I unchecked fade in, but that was the wrong button. I need to actually check initially hidden. Sorry. That will tell me to not load those automatically. Now it should work. I'm going to go ahead and recheck fade in because I kind of like that effect. Let's try this again. There's lots of testing on this. Okay. I think maybe we'll get it this time. This will chew through your phone's battery too, so make sure you're charged up or bring your cord when you're working on this stuff. All right. I saved it. I'm previewing it. That's better. Okay. So you can see the heart just comes up. And so what I was talking about with the transparency. See, you don't see the rectangular border of the Photoshop window. You just see the heart. Okay, so a GIF, either animated or not, allows you to just have that thing. So let's tap it. Pattern comes up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the video comes up. Okay, so you can script what happens. All right, so it allows you to do a lot of cool stuff. All right. Now there's some other stuff you can do with audio. You know, if you want to have a soundtrack behind it, you can upload an audio file, let that play while you are looking at this thing. So that's something you can work into this. Like I said, video, you can do that. I'm going to go over next week. I'm going to do a quick tutorial on making a video in Adobe Premiere, just to get you guys a little bit familiar with that. It won't take very long. Are there any questions before I cut the recording off? Yeah.
Is there a limit to what we can use for augmented reality, like in terms of, do we have to make the images ourselves?
Generally, yes. Okay, so it depends on your concept. The best pieces come out of things that are not just kind of found online, right? But if that's part of your concept, you can work that in. Okay, so if you need a Starbucks logo, I don't expect you to create that. I expect you to go find it. But that's conceptual. You know, if you need to change something, you can put it into Photoshop, manipulate things heavily. That's fine. So it really depends on your idea. All right. What I need from everybody by next week is I need everybody to be started. But I also need a good idea that I can come around and I can talk with you about your idea. So you need to be definitive on there. This is how I'm doing it. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, you really got to develop some concept in this work. Okay, it's important to this piece. There really is there's no top limit on the number of augments you can do until the software kind of crashes on your phone. So you just have to test that. And obviously I can't remember if I put it in there, but you need at least 5 different things in there. I'll make sure that's on the project page. Okay, so you can't just sort of do one thing. And one thing, I'll go over this. I'm not going to do it on the video because I need to stop. It's been too long. But one way to approach this is to take that image of the painting and manipulate it and then reuse that on top of the original painting. Okay, so I'll go over that in a second. And let me stop this video now and save it. Yeah.
Are the paintings we're going to be using, will they more than likely be historical?
Well, you should have already shot that.
Oh, okay.
Remember the ones we shot at? I told you guys to shoot an extra painting. And that's a good question. So you can use the paintings, one of the paintings you already shot for the other projects, all right? When we were at the museum before. But if you go through that and you can't find anything that really sparks your fancy in this context, you're welcome to go back and reshoot something in order to use this. But you'll have to do that ASAP. Okay. But you can go back. So it's got to be at the National Gallery so that we can stay in that space to critique it. Yeah.
When it said the maximum size that you could upload was 100 megabytes, you said that was too big. For us, what would the maximum size be?
You need to keep things around one, at the most like 1 megabyte. Okay. You can go a little bit bigger than that on video if you need to, but you have to test it. You got to remember when you're out and about. In here, it's not a big problem because we're on the school Wi-Fi. But when you're out and about or you're using a public Wi-Fi spot, things can get really slow. And you don't want to have to sit there and wait for things to load. And that'll really suck down everybody's battery too. So keep the file size as low as you can to keep things looking good. And part of that's that testing process. Okay, you got to look at it and think, oh, that looks like crap. I need to up the quality on it. Or that looks okay. I could probably make that file a little bit smaller. Okay. All right.